They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good. Are either one of these any good? Sir?
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Well, have you heard anything about either one of them?
I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs.
You mean you haven't heard anybody say anything about either one of these?
Nope.
Well, what about these two?
Oh, they suck.
These are the same two movies. You weren't paying any attention.
No, I wasn't.
I don't think your manager would appreciate it.
I don't appreciate your ruse, ma'am.
I beg your pardon?
Your ruse, your cunning attempt to trick me.
I was only pointing out that you weren't paying any attention to what I was saying.
I hope it feels good.
You hope what feels good?
I hope it feels so good to be right. There's nothing more exhilarating than pointing out the shortcomings of others, is there?
Well, this is the last time I rent here.
You'll be missed.
Screw you!
Okay, so enchantments.
Enchantments time.
Well, it's not enchantments. It's exquisite enchantments upgrade.
Yeah.
Isn't that the name of the deck? What do they call it?
Something like that. I don't even remember. I was like, it was the one with the Bantchantment stuff that everybody's into.
Okay. Okay.
As they should be. They should be into it.
How do you feel about that precon?
That's, if you'll remember in the review, that was the one that I said I would recommend people buy if they don't have a lot of the components already. As in like a, I don't know, I think like the Verduran Enchantress is in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Enchantress's presence. If you didn't have that stuff already and you're intrigued by Bantchantment, yeah. I think there's some good cards in it. I think the commanders, all three, are pretty solid.
And they fulfill something that...
Yeah, they do something different.
Seem to be on the wish list a little.
Yeah.
Because previous to this, what were your options for Enchantress commanders, right?
Well, I like
before they dropped these three.
Yeah, I don't think they like directly interacted specifically with enchantments a lot of the time, right? Like
they were just the colors.
Yeah, they're just the colors.
They just fulfilled the colors.
Yeah, so we've seen, of course, Karametra's a popular one, Sigarda's a popular one. And then you just kind of pick the colors you want, honestly. Like my Enchantrix, a thing that's kind of evolved to Ravos and Thrasios. Like, I just wanted to have those four colors.
Yeah. And
built an Enchantress package into that deck. And
are you happy that it was Bant?
I am. I think it's the most sensible three-color combination for it. Black would be cool.
I really, really, really wish it was Abzan.
Do you?
Yeah. I think it could have worked. You know, I don't.
There's already some things in black that interact with enchants nicely, like in terms of for yourself as an Enchantress package,
like
possessor.
The fucking Doomwake Giant.
Exactly.
Like that's a lot of cayenne on that card.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A lot of cayenne on that card. I mean, I get why it, like, I don't get why. I get that Bant was a strong idea.
Sure.
I just feel like Abzan has, I don't want to say limited offerings. I guess it just, this would have been a neat direction to take, I guess. Like if it was,
I agree.
Abzan. Because yeah, there's the black enchants. There's Extinguish All Hope. It's a board wipe for enchantment creatures, and
yeah, and there's
or not for everything that wasn't enchantments or enchantment creatures.
Right. There's I forget the name of it. There's a black creature that I think you sacrifice it to return an enchantment to your
you use that in your Dankchantress.
I have it in my Dankchantress list.
Yeah, what is blue helping you with those decks other than the card draw?
I mean, blue,
you know, which you can get from
it's
black.
Card draw and more pillow fort type stuff, like digging you in more. That's really what it does.
And Rhystic Study.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your Bant Enchantress decks should have Rhystic Study because that hated card is now probably going to have protection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
if we went back a year ago and someone was like, look, man, we're gonna make a Chantress deck. What 3-color pair do you want it to be? Would you have said Bant? A year ago. We don't even need to go that far back. Let's go back to like the summer when you were working earlier this summer when you were working on the thing for Atraxable.
I will just say right now, like, I was really pleasantly surprised, and I loved the exploration of using black with an Enchantress deck. So I'm with you. I think Abzan would be really cool. Obviously, white green is what you need to have there.
Yeah, sure.
And so black would be a cool addition.
Okay. Yeah, I like thought experiments like that.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So what commanders are we talking about this time, Andy?
So I am going to be talking about Kestia.
Yeah, who I'm pretty interested in.
Kestia.
I'm excited to see what you've put together.
It's not that complicated, the deck I came up with.
So I guess as a reference to our listeners, when we talked about my Atraxa Enchants deck that we did for GP Vegas.
Yes.
We covered
#Atraxable.
Yes, #Atraxable. We covered the idea of the enchantments theme in that episode. So I don't think we're going to cover that idea too in depth, I think, here, because we've already done that. But one of the things that came up in that conversation was how there's really actually not a lot of complexity to the theme of enchants.
No.
Like, the package that you put in terms of the card draw, the Enchantress card draw, is pretty straightforward. The cards that are going to protect your game plan are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of comboing that's really complex, although I'm going to be doing Estrid, which provides us some interesting combo opportunities. But I don't know. Enchants aren't that complex.
I think it's just, for me, like, if we're just kind of doing a quick review of what we're talking about when we're thinking what an enchantment deck or Enchantress deck is you draw cards for playing enchantments. Mm-hmm. That's the spine of it. Yeah, like you're drawing cards for playing enchantments.
Yeah,
and then affording yourself some protection from those enchantments, because yeah, they're kind of they're investments, and if there's stuff that makes them hexproof or shroud or both, or you're looking to protect your investment after you've drawn the card and continue to dig in. That's how I see Enchantress decks up until now, is that they just dig really, really, really far in. Yeah. But they suffer from, or not suffer is the wrong word.
Everybody else probably suffers more than the player of the Enchants deck.
Yeah, it's more like, like a suffering is something like, it's a real problem, but more like it's a little tricky to come up with a way to actually win. When you're telling yourself, Dragon Lord Dramoka is your win con, I mean, it could happen. He's a damn good dragon.
A really good card.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, this isn't Voltron Aura stuff.
No.
We're not talking about that. No. So Sigarda, Host of Herons, like, I think she kind of falls into the Enchantress thing a little bit.
Yeah, you have your Enchantress
she's a really safe
there.
Target to enchant. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's an episode about it. We kind of cover it.
Yeah.
Let's just get into the damn deck.
Yeah, so let's get in. So
give me that.
I'm going to
Estrid list.
Dive into Estrid.
Give me that.
So, I mean, I guess they avoided calling her Astrid.
Why?
Oh. I'm just saying, apparently they did, because there's an E instead of an A.
Huh.
I would have been okay if she was Astrid, but anyhow, Estrid the Masked, planeswalker that can be your commander.
Okay.
1 green, white, blue. So the comes in with 3 loyalty counters. So +2 ability, untap each enchanted permanent you control. Down 1 ability, create a white aura enchantment token named Mask attached to another target permanent. The token has enchant permanent and totem armor. And then an ultimate of down 7, put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard, return all non-aura enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then then do the same for the aura cards. So right away, I think something to keep an eye out for in Magic the Gathering, in Commander. There are a few, I guess, activated or triggered abilities that are a good clue that there's
Bustedness about to happen.
Combo town available to you.
Bustedness is about to happen.
Yeah, so when you have untap that's involved, untap is usually a part of a combo. When it's untap each, like Estrid says, you're probably looking at something very powerful.
Yeah.
So right away, what I've kind of approached this as is my primary objective with Estrid is to produce a lot of mana using this ability to untap each enchanted permanent you control.
Okay.
So this is done in two different ways. We get mana rocks out and then use her middle ability to enchant them with her masks that she can put on them.
That's highly unorthodox, putting mana rocks in a
I know, that's weird, right?
green enchantment deck.
So, I mean,
That's pretty unorthodox.
right? Bizarre. It's not rocket science to figure these out, so they're going to be things like Gilded Lotus. In my deck list, I went with things that are more giving you multiple mana rather than just singular mana sources. So Gilded Lotus, Thran Dynamo, Soul Ring, Basalt Monolith, Worn Power Stone. Each of those gives you more than one mana when you tap them. So we get those out, use her middle ability to enchant them with a mask, which is also beneficial because they have totem armor, right?
Okay.
And so people go to destroy them because it's clear what you're going to be able to do with those things. They have a little bit of staying power. The other thing we're going about is doing Enchant Lands. So
You mean there's going to be a way to finally like hose a Bane of Progress? A little bit.
Yeah, so...
Wait, would that not work? That's actually twisting my head a little bit. Because it wants to destroy all artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah, so it would destroy the totem armor, right?
And what's attached to it.
Right. Or what it's attached to.
Yeah. Keep going.
How does totem how does totem armor
Well, it just says
ring?
if it would be destroyed, instead you destroy the totem.
Yeah.
You know. But I think that
Let's
might
check in with some rules there.
Keep going.
Okay. So the other option that we're going with is Enchant Lands.
Okay.
And there's a whole wealth of these that we can use. So like examples of this would be Dawn's Reflection, that I think came in the deck. So it's 3 and a green, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for a mana, its controller adds an additional 2 mana in any combination of colors. That may actually be important, the colors that we're producing. So ones like that are pretty nice. Fertile Ground, 1 and a green, enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color.
Okay.
Market Festival, 3 and a green. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds 2 mana in any combination to his or her mana pool. New Horizons, 2 and a green. This one you actually put a 1/1/1 counter on target creature you control when it enters the battlefield, and it has tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Overgrowth, similar thing. So 2 and a green. When enchanted land is tapped, its controller adds 2 additional green. Or adds an additional 2 green to their mana pool.
Huh. So spicy things to untap.
Yeah, so there's more in the list, like refer to the deck list. But another one would be, another option for doing this with lands would be to play Murari's Wake. So if you remember, so 3, a green and a white, creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land produced. And so in this case, when we play Murari's Wake,
it stops Bane of Progress, just so you know.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, pretty much like what's going to happen is that the totem armor's effect will replace the destruction.
Okay.
So it destroys the totem armor twice. So the effect,
that's weird.
Yeah, so the only time this would be any different is that if you had something like Austere Command.
Okay.
Because they're happening in different sets. So if you say like 4 and lower,
so with a
and
modal
enchants,
spell, they're happening.
because those are different things that are happening.
Okay.
Where if it's one big push. This
Yeah.
is just kind of somebody asked about something similar with totem armor.
Okay, that's
like a
interesting.
ratchet bomb going off where the CMC matches is the guy's specific question.
Okay,
So my assumption is that yeah, it'll actually
that's interesting. So it'll save you
actually
from your
some-
bane of progress.
yeah,
That's pretty
progress
dope.
insurance, progressive. Some might call it.
That was the first ad ever on the Legendary Creature podcast.
Shit, we broke our. Oh my god.
Button it up. We've been tainted. So Murari's Wake, the point here being that you play Murari's Wake, you use Estrid's middle ability to enchant lands with the auras that she puts out, with the masks that she puts out, and now you can use them. Obviously, it would work without Murari's Wake. You can enchant lands with her, but with
Okay.
Murari's Wake, you're going to get more bang for your buck if you're going to enchant lands.
Oh yeah,
using her middle ability. And Murari's Wake is just fucking dope. So, you know,
Do you really even want to be enchanting anything anymore? That
like your game is going pretty well if you've got a Murari's Wake in play.
it really is though. God.
So, I mean, what's the point of doing all of this? Because now we're producing a lot of mana, and it's
Yeah,
like,
what are you
okay,
gonna do with it?
Okay, Kyle, that's cute. We have a lot of mana. Like, when are we gonna play Magic: The fucking Gathering? It's a good question.
No, Magic, the gathering of mana.
Yeah, Magic: The Gathering of Mana. So there's a specific combo that you can set up with Estrid or any planeswalker, really.
Okay.
And so this is of course going to use the Chain Veil.
Oh, you are clever.
So not a huge mystery here. So it's an artifact. It costs 4 to get it cast. So at the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate a loyalty ability of a planeswalker this turn, you lose 2 life. So obviously it's kind of like
Encouraging you to use.
you need to use Estrid, right?
Yeah.
But it has an activated ability of pay 4, tap. For each planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of its loyalty abilities have been activated this turn. So we've got out Estrid, we've got out the Chain Veil. We need 4 mana to tap and activate.
Are you gonna put a mask on that Chain Veil?
You do need to put a mask on the Chain Veil.
Oh my god.
Exactly. So now we activate
Oh my goodness.
and untap the Chain Veil, and this is where that mana comes in. So if we've got, say we've got like one of those lands enchanted and we've got a Gilded Lotus enchanted, we have enough mana to tap the Chain Veil again and activate Estrid again. Now, if it's more than 4 mana available to us in those untaps, then we have achieved infinite mana.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
So that's one thing. Like, the other option is, if
You know, we're so bad at hyping stuff up. Like that's actually really great.
no, it's dope.
You know, I
But-
like how many cards are involved and what the development is, but you know, other like
Yeah,
you
because
know, other Magic shows, they're just like, this is awesome. This is, and then it's like, cool.
cool.
Yeah.
You watch John Oliver at all? Like,
No.
or have like those clips where he's like, they're showing all these like these news scenes,
Uh-huh.
and then they go back to him, and he's just like,
Cool.
you know,
Yeah,
like-
that's a little bit how that feels, I guess.
So here's the reason, because now we've achieved infinite mana. That's still not enough to win the fuking game. Like,
Yeah.
there isn't an achievement that unlocks you win the game if you have as much mana as you want.
Yeah. No matter what you read on a Reddit thread.
So, you know, this isn't
Like, yeah, you hear that a lot. Like, you win the game if this resolves. You win the game if this resolves. You win the game if this, like,
yeah, but you don't.
in concert with what? Like,
Right. I mean,
you know, what exactly? No, I've resolved expropriate. I have no fucking board state, but I've won the game, right? This is the expectation I have for the card.
I mean, that was cool, buddy. And everybody hates you.
Yeah, everyone's
so
really annoyed. Yeah.
So here's why I'm not excited yet, because we haven't climaxed yet.
Oh, okay.
I need to get off, Andy.
Yeah.
And I don't get off on infinite mana. I get off on winning.
Okay.
So we're going to take a step back from infinite mana for a second, and I just want to mention,
I mean, teach his own, man. To whatever you're into, you know.
I just want to mention that whole thing, absent the Chain Veil, like, even if you've got a couple of those Enchant Lands on a couple lands, and you've got a mask on one of those rocks, you're pushing your mana development way ahead of everybody else.
Sure.
With the Enchantress package, like we mentioned, it's usually kind of like a draw, replace type thing, right? So you could potentially dump out a lot of spells, or I think in this case, the benefit of having this being Bant is we've got Crewfix, God of Horizons available to us. So you can bank that extra mana.
So this is in case you're into a place where you don't have anything to really do with the mana that turn.
Exactly. So if you don't have something
safe place
to do with it, then you can put it into Crewfix.
Good old Crewfix escrow account.
Yeah.
Mana.
So it's not as awesome as having the Chain Veil and comboing off with that, but if you've ever played against Crewfix, it tends to add up when people have something built up to sink into the Crewfix bank account for sure. Now here's where we want to put our mana. Let me go through just a long list of things that allow me to get off.
I need to get off with this mana. I need to alt with this mana.
I need to alt. Which actually we're not going to alt. We're just. I actually don't care.
Just strip the romance right out of this. Like
her alt to me is an insurance policy. It's a it's a replenish. Like it's
yeah.
Like
it's a replenish plus.
Yeah, exactly. So Walking Ballista.
Oh well, okay.
This is just your win, dude.
Yeah.
You get to win with a Walking Ballista. XX, Walking Ballista, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. It has an activated of you can pay 4 to put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista. But if you have infinite mana, that activated ability doesn't matter. Just sink it all into the X. And then it has remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You have infinite damage available to you. So as long as people don't have hexproof themselves,
you're good.
Which you're probably the most likely person to have that ability anyways. As the Enchantress player.
I would say.
So Walking Ballista wins the game for you. The other thing that I think this is interesting. So we did our mono color decks earlier in the year, and I just got super into Heliod since then. Like whenever I'm dealing with enchants, I'm kind of looking for
you're kind of into the Heliod a little
ways to make Heliod work.
Okay.
Heliod's a really nice, I think. Now, let's be honest. Like these combos are they're complex. Like we're talking infinite combos, but it's not 2 or 3 pieces. You need a lot of pieces to make this work. So Heliod, as a reminder, 4 and a white, has the whole devotion thing that the Thorosian gods have. Indestructible. Other creatures you control have vigilance, but what we're interested in here, if we've achieved infinite mana, is you can pay 2 and 2 white to put a 2/1 white cleric enchantment creature token onto the battlefield.
All right.
This means we need an additional piece. So what we can do is Heliod, in concert with anything that has constellation on it, we can now infinitely have those constellation triggers with Heliod's activated ability. So specifically...
That's just nuts. Okay.
So specifically, we would have something like Nylea's Colossus. So 6 and a green for a 6/6 giant. Has constellation. It says whenever Nylea's Colossus or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So you can just stack up a creature to one-shot somebody.
Okay, yeah.
Or if you have multiple creatures, you can one-shot as many people as you have creatures available to do that. Another option here would be Thassa's Devourer. That's a hard word to say. Thassa's Devourer. So this is 4 and a...
Devourer.
The Roger. 4 and a blue for an elemental that's 2/6. The constellation on this one says whenever Thassa's Devourer or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard.
Okay.
So you could infinitely mill somebody in this case. Another one would be Skybind. Skybind's not necessarily going to win you the game, But this is an enchantment itself, not an enchantment creature. So it's 3 and 2 white. Whenever Skybind or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, exile target non-enchantment permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So you can clear everything that your opponents have out of the way, including their lands.
Okay.
So somebody else is a blue player that's holding stuff up. Well, let's go ahead and start exiling your lands till the end of the turn so that you can't interrupt me in what I'm doing. Let's clear.
You would never do that.
Yeah,
though,
sure.
right?
Sure.
You wouldn't do that to me, right?
No.
Okay.
Andy.
Okay, good.
No. I didn't think you played blue.
I try not to.
You can clear all the blockers out of the way, so you can go in if you've got something that's really juicy for an attack. You can clear that stuff out of the way. Clearing tokens. If somebody's playing a token strategy, those tokens are all gone. Skybind really kind of helps you manage the game. Essentially, is what we're kind of doing there.
All right.
Some other options that we could do. I think Heliod with Tuvasa. So if we include Tuvasa in the deck, you now have Tuvasa as large as you want Tuvasa to be.
Okay.
Because Tuvasa, if we'll recall, green, white, blue. For a Merfolk Shaman, that's a 1/1. Tuvasa Sunlit, the Sunlit gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. And whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, draw a card. So with Heliod, infinite mana combo with Estrid, Tuvasa is now as large as you want. Very similar to Nylea's Colossus in that you can have this huge creature and just do your thing.
Okay. That's yeah, all right.
Those are some kind of like,
I held on to that one too.
yeah. Yeah, that one's a good.
It's punchy.
I think she works.
Okay.
That's the more convoluted kind of side of comboing with Estrid is the stuff cycling around Heliod. I think, like, I don't think you need to put in the Constellation Heliod package in. It's just, I'm interested in it because I think the more complex your infinite combos, I appreciate that more. You know, if it's a 2 or 3 card infinite combo, I can. Let me slow clap for you.
And one of the pieces is your commander.
Yeah. Another option for winning the game would be X spells.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, well, with all these untaps and infinite mana, like, I can think of one.
Yeah.
I can think of one that would be pretty hot. Is White Sun Zenith a sorcery or an instant?
I'm pretty sure White Sun Zenith is a sorcery, but I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
I mean,
Goes to show you how much I use it.
Put together a large list of these, so pick and choose.
Which are they?
Some of them will win you the game. Some of them push you towards probably inevitable victory. So you could do Genesis Wave.
That one's pretty hot. Yeah, White Sun Zenith's an instant.
Oh, is it an instant?
Yeah.
I was gonna say. I mean, it would make sense if it's an instant
it's
because Blue Sun Zenith is also an instant.
Yeah, but Red Sun Zenith is a sorcery, and
Okay.
I think Green Sun Zenith is a sorcery too.
Okay. So Genesis Wave, X and 3 green, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield, then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard.
Okay.
So decide how comfortable you are with how deep you want to go into your library and just sink it into Genesis Wave. You should then, I mean, if you have a win in your deck, you can now,
You'll probably hit it.
you'll hit it.
Yeah.
Like it's there, it's available. I did put in Blue Sun Zenith. So similarly, you're just going to draw as many cards as you're comfortable drawing, and then let's go ahead and just cast as many things as we're comfortable.
Or you can deck somebody.
Or you could deck somebody.
If we're on those.
And then, yeah, I mean, we can just kind of, because like you said, yeah, obviously you put it into your library and just keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can deck people out that way. Hurricane.
You would. I was wondering, like, is he gonna do Hurricane? I mean, he has like a Planeswalker. It might as well do something like that. Like, you won't lose your Planeswalker.
Yeah. So Hurricane, X and a green. Hurricane deals X damage to each creature with flying and each player. So you obviously need to be positioned where you have the highest life total.
Sure.
But if you are, you win with Hurricane. There's several cards that are like this. I think there's, what's another one? It's
What other green one?
like it's Squall Line. So X and 2 green. Squall Line deals X damage to each player, or each creature with flying and each player. There's a few green ones that do that. If we want to go back to like the whole decking people thing, you could use Increasing Confusion. So X and blue, target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, and then it has a flashback, so you could deck 2 people with Increasing Confusion.
I mean, it's doable if you've achieved infinite colored mana.
Yeah, which with those auras, you should have the colors available, like the auras you're putting onto the lands. You should have the colors available that you want to do.
Okay.
You could do things like tokens, like you mentioned, White Sun, Zenith. There's also Entreat the Angels. So
yeah.
XX, 3 white, or the miracle cost. And obviously, if you have infinite mana, you're not concerned about casting this as a miracle. Just hard cast it from your hand.
Wait, dude, it's half of infinite.
Yeah, I know, right? So create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying. The problem being here that now you've created this board state that if anybody has a board wipe, it's coming down.
Okay.
Another one that we actually saw played recently, and I think this is kind of in the vein of doing Tuvasa or Nylea's Colossus, would be the Chameleon Colossus.
Dude.
So 2 and 2 green. It's a changeling and it has protection from black. It has an activated ability of 2 and 2 green, and the Chameleon Colossus gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. And this is, I mean, it's exponential, but it doesn't matter if you have infinite mana. You just make it as big as you want and one-shot somebody with this.
Yeah, I always forget about that guy.
Particular creature. So I like, there's in the colors, there's so many things you can do to take that infinite mana and just yoke out a win. You know, like there's a lot that's
How do you
available.
feel about that though? Like as a deck, like is that, I mean,
well, so
is there anything else besides going infinite that we can do with this thing, or is that pretty much what we're having
so
to look like
I'll
we're gonna be doing?
So let's talk about another path that we could go. I didn't build this deck list this way.
Okay,
but this is another path I think you can go using Estrid and this untap thing.
Okay.
Let's, rather than focusing on mana rocks and having so many enchants, or instead of focusing on those types of win cons that I just kind of listed off for infinite mana and focusing so much on trying to get all of that kind of stuff, let's focus a little more on creatures that we want to untap. So in that case, you're going to be a little more focused on auras being in your deck, so you can put auras on creatures, and then we can use something like Beguiler of Wills. So she has a tap ability where you could steal a creature from somebody.
Sure.
With CMC equal to or less than the number of creatures you control. So theoretically, if the circumstances are right, you should be able to steal all creatures.
Okay. Isn't Rabinia Soul Singer another person that steals? Well, I think she loses them when she untaps.
Yeah, so Rabinia, I was looking at that one. When she untaps, they go back. That would be cool.
So no allowed.
So not going to work here. But you could go the route of kind of giving yourself a swell of mana and decking people with Selvala, Explorer Returned. So she has Parlay, I think, where you tap and then everybody reveals the top card of their library.
Yeah.
And what are the cards you get mana for?
I think it's every land card they reveal.
So if they reveal a land card, you get a green for it.
And then everyone draws a card.
And then everyone draws a card. So again, you kind of need to be positioned to where you have more cards in your deck than everybody else, but you can get everyone approaching to where they're being decked. Similar route would be Jace's Archivist. So Jace's Archivist has tap. Everybody discards their hand, draws equal to the highest.
Yeah, the highest. It's Windfall.
Yeah. So you could again, you're decking everybody.
Well, yourself included.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're trying to.
Yeah.
You can use the lab man. I heard that's good.
That would work.
I heard he's good.
That would work. If we're doing the route of card draw, again, we can kind of stick with Arcanist for ourselves, where we can just dig ourselves into all of our options. But here's another thing that's interesting to me. I was kind of looking at this just a little bit in preparation. It would be interesting to hash this out more fully, is to look at pingers. So,
there's blue pingers.
Yeah, so you've got like you've got Endbringer.
I think there's green ones that, but I think they target specifically only flying creatures.
Probably, yeah. They're usually
like
that
archers
way.
Or something.
So I think the Endbringer is colorless, if I recall. Higher CMC, but pings. Pirate ship. I think you have to have an island for that one to work, but you can use pirate ship to tap and ping.
It's a prodigal sorcerer.
Rootwater hunter. So all of those have tap ping, like deal 1 damage to target creature or player. And so I think I want to take back what I said about an Abzan Enchantress deck and talk about that Naya Enchantress deck. I'm just kidding. No, that might be interesting, right? So yeah, I do think there's, I mean, explore it. Go look on Scryfall and put in tap creature and see what you can find.
Tap creature damage.
Yeah, like see what you can find that fits in. So, but I think that's another route you could go, as opposed to let me just get infinite mana and sink it into some big win con.
Sure.
Type of a thing.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, if you see it. I'm not asking about your deck. I'm just saying, like, do you see it happening with Estrid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's options for how you can handle it.
Okay.
Let's just really quickly talk about protecting our game plan. My experience with Enchantresses is that it becomes frustrating, I think, for a play group to play against after a while. Mm-hmm. And therefore you
have hexproof. Your permanents have hexproof. Your enchantments have hexproof.
And so
people can't make you sacrifice permanents.
Frankly, you kind of need some of those things. So things like privileged position that make all other permanents, like they can't be the targets of spells and abilities. You want stuff like that. You want Sterling Grove because you can combo with it.
These just come with any Enchantress list, to be honest.
I think the nice thing about it being in blue is you can add some counter magic in there for the things that
there is that
you can't deal with. Let's talk about something that may be blood boiling.
Whoa,
really quickly. I bought.
We're going to talk about campaign finance reform right now.
Yeah, we are. Do you know how much Enchanted Evening is selling for right now, Andy?
Oh God. Dude, lately I actually I have the worst pulse for prices on cards. Like, they're just skyrocketing. Prices are just skyrocketing. So
I'm looking at a very prominent card seller in this online card seller
who will remain nameless.
Remain nameless because we already gave Progressive Insurance their ad spot.
That's true. We're already giving out free ad references for Progressive Insurance.
It's $34.99 right now. I bought an Enchanted Evening.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Enchanted Evening?
Enchanted Evening is $34.99.
Since when? Since this deck?
Since this deck.
Since this deck. What was it at, like 2 months ago?
So I bought one 2 months ago.
Okay.
Right after we left GP Vegas.
Okay.
Do you want to know how much I bought it for?
Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't even want to hear it.
$3.99.
It is 10 times the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Because of, dude, if this format doesn't drive prices, it used to not drive prices that much, a little bit, and then now. So, is there some kind of like legacy or modern deck I don't know that wants to use that size of an enchantment?
There's no reason for it. Here's why Enchanted Evening is a big deal.
Okay.
Bane of Progress.
Yeah. But it's everybody. It's you included.
It is your Bane of Progress in insurance. You're saying do not cast it. It will wreck you.
But then they have
me and everyone else. And yeah, you'll have a giant Bane of Progress.
Yeah, and they win.
People will have a removal spell before they win.
I mean, their lands were destroyed in the process.
Sure.
So planes.
Sure.
Path to Exile, that's about what you're hoping for. I mean, who's to say you don't do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you could do that too.
Yeah. Ugh. Whoa.
I want to be positive because I really like these Bant commanders that came from this release. I think they're designed in a really cool way. They're fun to explore.
You know, if it was just included in the pre-con, like the price probably would have stayed where it's at because it's in the fucking pre-con.
And that's what
and that means the supply that was already out there, no one would be going and getting that because they got it in the pre-con.
Like I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Sure.
I really don't.
Yeah, right.
But that's exactly my point. If it had been in the pre-con, this wouldn't be a problem.
Supply would have stayed the same.
Yeah.
Aside from, you know, people who buy the singles, I suppose.
So I know. Like I don't want to come across as being
people
bitchy,
speculating.
but if anybody at Wizards of the Coast is listening, like I know that you can't plan for all of these types of things. It's impossible to know that something like this is going to happen, but it is helpful to our community and to our ability to get people playing this game if there's reprints for cards like this. It just...
Yeah, but now they can put it in another product somewhere else and it'll drive their own sales because they'll
probably
be like,
will.
All those people that bought our Bantchantment deck last year are really starving for stuff like this. Yeah, so like Mycosynth Lattice, like
showing up in Battle Bond.
Yeah, so you have to go back by. Now you're looking to try to go get it out of Battle Bond because of the because of Jehoira on one side and Shahili on the other, or Sahili on the other. Like it's their, what do we call it? Their marketing rainbow. Their marketing prism.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't know. That's I love Enchantress stuff, but that kind of irks me a little bit.
That's crazy. So
let me close out my deck with just one fun little combo that's just on its own aside, kind of a weird little thing that you could maybe include if you're doing enchants. I just came across somebody mentioning this on Reddit, and it's kind of cool. So Parallax Wave would be one of the pieces for it.
What does that one do again?
So let me see if I can get to it. So Parallax Wave, it has fading on it. I think it has fading 5.
Okay. And
so once it exiles target creature, if I recall.
Yeah.
So exiles target creature, and you have to remove a fading counter from it to remove target creature from the game.
Yeah, and then once it's out of fading counters, it leaves and they all come back.
And they all come back.
Okay.
But if we do Starfield of Nyx, which says it, you know, as long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. So it turns your enchants into creatures.
Yeah.
Right? I think Opalescence is the other one that does that.
Yeah.
And then we put those with Induced Amnesia. So Induced Amnesia is 2 and a blue. When Induced Amnesia enters the battlefield, target player exiles all cards from his or her hand face down, then draws that many cards. When Induced Amnesia is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return the exiled cards to their owner's hand.
Yeah, this thing.
So here's how this works.
What deck did I because did a deck tech where we use that card?
Yeah, because of Starfield of Nyx or Opalescence, Induced Amnesia is a creature in addition to being an enchantment. Parallax Wave can now target Induced Amnesia. So Induced Amnesia leaves, but then you also have Parallax Wave target itself.
Okay, this
Parallax Wave leaves, but then it comes back and Induced Amnesia comes back. And so Induced Amnesia has this ETB, right? Where target player exiles their hand, draws that many cards.
Yeah, all right.
You can deck everybody. And it's not putting it into their graveyard, so if they have something that spins their graveyard back into their library, it doesn't matter. You're exiling their hand.
Weird.
So you can deck people with that little combo. So the little 3-card combo that doesn't involve your commander, that can be a part of your enchant package. Just kind of a interesting little thing that you can include if you're interested.
That's so weird. What did we? I feel like I did a deck tech where I was using Induced Amnesia for something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, that's driving me crazy now. All of a sudden, it was like last month.
But it's an interesting card.
Yeah. Yeah, when they spelled it, I remember thinking like, okay.
Because it's supposed to be when it goes to the graveyard, they get that hand back, right?
Sure, but they just don't have it.
But because you're exiling, like you're just putting it away. It's pretty cool.
So how do you feel about this list?
I think in terms of like competitive combo decks, they have there's decks that have a faster path to comboing off than Estrid does. But what's appealing about Estrid is that you can set up the enchants thing to kind of dig in order to get yourself in a position where you can confidently pull off your combo. Or just synergy, like if you're just sinking mana into Crewfix and then dumping things out at the right moment, like that may be the case too. I think it'll be a decently competitive deck, but it's not necessarily the cream of the crop. But it's pretty up there. It's good.
I like the untapping stuff. That seems kind of unique to. I mean, it's not a unique strategy. It's just, you know, I wouldn't have expected to see that in something like this.
It's different. Usually, when you're dealing with untap type combos, you're heavily involved with artifacts. You don't actually have to be involved with artifacts here. You can focus on your land.
Yeah,
obviously you can use
there's
them.
plenty of enchantments out there, like the ones you were kind of mentioning that bump lands up. Like, what is it? Yeah, you listed some.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Push lands.
So yeah, like you don't. It's kind of cool, I think.
Yeah,
I would build this deck, but I already have an Enchantress deck, so.
Right, and you can't betray Atraxa.
No.
Oh wait, you did. You already replaced
yeah, I already did.
That didn't last very long. All right. That was cool, man.
What do you got for me, Andy?
Well, I gotta be honest. It's not even remotely as complex as yours. Clearly, you've picked the suboptimal. You've picked the suboptimal Enchantress commander. The suboptimal, you know, less competitive. There, ergo, suboptimal Enchantress commander in Kestia. So I think what I was going for is, I don't know. Like I kind of wanted to pick the one that I mean, we could have. I feel like if I would have done Tuvasa or Tsuvasa or whatever, yeah, they would have looked alike a little bit. Oh, not sure. The untapped parts, but like the Enchantress thing. Yeah, I think that main backbone. So I decided to do this one, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of like, this is probably going to be a pretty short talk off as well.
That's all right.
Just because the strategy is it's aggro.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's aggro.
Which is cool to apply an aggro strategy to an
Well, I have two configurations of the deck.
Okay.
I've been kind of into that lately, like kind of giving people like maybe two directions. Mm-hmm. Not like, oh, some different card options. Like, no, this is a completely different direction you could take. Yeah. But let me just hit you with like the first one. So to review what Kestia is about. I can't see through this goddamn mic, dude. There we go. Okay. So Kestia the Cultivator. She's one green white blue. So we're talking Bant still, for a legendary enchantment creature nymph, with buckwheat hair. Her hair's wheat, dude. Did you notice that?
She's the exact same as the wheat that's in the field.
Yeah, she's growing her own wigs.
It's what it is she's starting a ghillie suit, right? Is it ghillie suit?
It is a ghillie suit. Yeah.
That's what she's starting here.
She's gonna get three nukes off, dude. You know, she's gonna get 3 nukes off in Nuketown. Anyway, so yeah, Kestia the Cultivator, a green, a white, and a blue, legendary enchantment creature nymph. She has Bestow, which is basically 2 higher from that cost, so it's 6. 3 green, white, blue. And if you don't remember what a bestow was, is you cast this creature card for its bestow cost. It's an aura spell with enchant creature. It becomes a creature again if it's not attached to a creature. So the idea is that it's kind of an aura, and if the creature you put her on dies or is removed or blinked or blah or bounced, she just falls off and suddenly she's...
Wow, I'm a creature now.
Yeah, wow, I'm a creature now. Yeah, so enchanted creature gets +4/+4. Whenever... So here's the line of text that matters, though. Whenever an enchanted creature or enchantment creature you control attacks, draw a card. She's a 4/4. So I think where everybody's falling on with this one is Bogles in Commander. Bogles in Commander. So
it's a real sweet bogle you got there,
dude. It's really
dude.
sweet. I like that. I like that bogle. I must have that bogle. Bogles are a very... It's a well-established modern deck where you're putting a very safe target.
Yeah, something that's
auras.
hexproof naturally.
Yeah, or worse, hexproof unblockable, which should be a good old invisible stalker.
Yeah.
I think that's where most people will go, but I don't know, man. I don't know if you're gonna get a lot of mileage out of that, because to me, I just want to draw the fucking cards.
Well,
that's kind of what you're saying about Tuvasa, and am I saying that right? Is it Tuvasa?
That's what I'm saying.
Tuvasa and every other enchantment strategy that we talked about with Aura, Enchantress's presence, and the Argothian Enchantress. Like, you just want to draw the goddamn cards. Yeah, the Satyr Enchanter. So rather than doing the Bogle side of it, I kind of just said, well, let me just look at the other side of the text. And it says, whenever enchanted creature or enchantment creature attacks.
I personally think that is the bigger deal here.
The enchantment creatures?
No, just that you can draw cards for enchanted or enchantment creatures attacking.
The enchantment creatures aren't really very impressive. I'm not even gonna pretend like they're good. They're not.
Fair.
They're not. There's some of them have pretty good CMC. They're okay.
Sure.
But the way I'm trying to think about this is, I'm not playing Edric Spymaster of Trest. And I'm drawing cards when I attack. And I'm not playing Edric Spymaster of Trest. Although you could add him to the deck, but that's the idea.
Sure.
And yeah, I have white.
Sure.
So I'll go over some of the... And if you wanted to make this kind of deck where you're like, I just want to do like an aggro Bant kind of thing that's not Rafika the Many.
Yeah.
But I want to draw... but then I want to do the... Like, I don't know. If you're just like me and you're, I don't know, pretentious and you want to do something that's not what everybody else is going to go for with this, you can do that. You can do a lot of these you can pick your flavor with these enchantment creatures, I think.
Sure.
I just kind of wanted to keep the CMC low. So I know there's probably better ones out there, but I was really trying to keep the CMC low because this is just what you need.
That makes sense
for any aggro deck. I think this is kind of true. So starting from the top, we have Aegis of the Gods. It's 1 and a white. It's a 2/1. You have hexproof. It's an enchantment creature.
Cool.
So she drops, he's out, you draw a card the turn she goes. You probably will end up drawing maybe 1 to 4 cards the turn she comes down.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because you should have other stuff established, is what you're saying. You've got a little bit of a board state established.
Because again, I was really trying to keep the CMC low. Some of them are bigger. Like I couldn't help myself with that Nylea's Colossus, that clunky piece of shit.
Yeah.
But I had to do it.
Yeah.
So Archetype of Courage, 1, a white and a white. Creatures you control have first strike. Creatures your opponents control lose first strike and can't have or gain first strike. So it's a 2/2 for 3. So he's already there before she comes out.
Okay.
The Boon Satyr, 1, a green and a green. Flash for a 4/2. All of these have bestow. If you really want to pile them on one big thing,
yeah, you can do that.
I could see that happening if your mana's if your meta's not, or if the game isn't really developing for other people, like they're not developing blockers and they're not developing mana ahead of you. You probably could dogpile it onto one thing. If they break it, it's all gonna pop off anyway.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have them still.
Yeah, it's like it's like the Rat Man or whatever it is in Diablo 2. Remember that? You find him in the basement and he shoots the fire out of his mouth. And then you kill him, and they all just like fall apart. And there's a bunch of there's 5 of the guys, and they come up and try to stab you in the leg. Yeah, Boon Satyr, Courser of Krufix. So it's 1 a red or 1 a green and a green. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land card. Whenever a land card enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. It's a 2/4. So all of these can be out
Yeah.
before she's dropping.
Yeah.
The Crystalline Nautilus. It's a 2 and a blue.
Okay.
Whenever the Crystalline Nautilus becomes the target of a spell or ability sacrifice, that kind of sucks. It's like the old illusion ruling.
Yes.
Enchanted creature gets +4/+4 and then has basically the same text. Like if it becomes targeted, you have to sacrifice it. But
whatever.
this thing replaces it.
Exactly.
If they target this, it falls off. You know,
Right.
it doesn't say, okay, yeah. So it I don't know. Eidolon Blossoms,
Mm-hmm.
two a green and a green constellation. Whenever Eidolon Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield, draw a card, or under your control, draw a card. So you kind of see what I'm going for here.
Yeah.
Eidolon of Countless Battles. It's Eidolon of Countless Battles and enchanted creature get +1/+1 for each creature you control and +1/+1 for each aura you control. Well, if they're all being bestowed, that would be actually pretty insane.
Sure.
Flitterstep Eidolon. 2 mana for a 1/1 unblockable.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go through, you can pick these off. I think the ones that kind of really should stick out as far as like they're enabling how I'm trying to win with this thing is Nylea's Colossus, the one that you mentioned. 6 and a green constellation. Whenever Nylea's Colossus or another enchantment enters a battlefield under your control, double target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. It's a 6/6. So by itself, we're looking at a 12/12.
Yeah.
Chirometra, God of Harvests, would actually be pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Not really necessarily like getting her into the attack step, but she's gonna get lands.
If you don't have experience playing with Chirometra,
Do yourself a favor and try it out.
Yeah, she is very effective
I can
at thinning
highly
your deck
recommend.
and getting land out there for you.
Yeah, she's a good. Plus, she's a good cook. So Chirometra, God of Harvest, 3 green and a white. As long as your devotion to green and white is less than 7, Chirometra isn't a creature. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains card, put that into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. I'd really like to see how a Bogle's build of this deck and this thing go. I think 1v1. I honestly think this one would pull it out faster.
Probably
because it's just go.
Well, you're gonna draw more cards.
Yeah, and there's just not one piece of I don't know, like they're only gonna draw one. They're probably enchanting one thing, and that's if they draw into the auras and if they draw into the.
Let's think about the math here. Like if you cast an enchantment and you have your typical enchantress package, you draw a card for casting that enchantment. But doing what you're describing,
there's nothing stopping you from loading that into this deck. Too.
Drawing the card for like you've got some enchantress like Eidolon of Blossoms. Draw the card for casting it, and then that enchantment creature goes and attacks. You're at least getting one additional draw off of that. If you get multiple opportunities to attack with that creature, then you're drawing multiple cards for casting that one enchantment. It just adds up better. Card draw.
I feel like it does. I think.
Yeah.
On paper it does.
Yeah.
Thassa's Emissary. It's 3 and a blue. Whenever a Thassa's Emissary or enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And should you want to bestow it, it's a 3/3. I actually have all of the Emissary. I don't think I have Nylea's Emissary, but I took Heliod's Emissary. He's the goat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have Nylea straight out. So it's 3 and a green for a legendary enchantment creature, God, indestructible. As long as your devotion to green is less than 5, she's not a creature. But other creatures you control have trample, so that's kind of good, right? Oh wait, no, yeah, I do. I have Nylea's Emissary. It's just a 3/3 trample for 4.
Okay.
It's just really all that one's about. So I'm sorry, like I don't really have exciting creatures on this list because I don't know if they're just not there. If you want to do the Bogles thing, like, great. It's probably safer, but I don't know if it's as fast.
No.
As far as digging stuff out. As far as, like, just ending the game in an aggro setting, we're talking overrun ability. So, Crater Hoof Bahoom Boom, if you want to try to do that. I didn't include him in the list, so I just kind of went with the Pathbreaker Ibex because I felt like that Nylea's Colossus with that was kind of a less linear way of doing it, even though it's less efficient. Pathbreaker Ibex is a 4 and a green for a creature goat. Whenever Pathbreaker Ibex attacks, creatures you control gain trample and X+X until the end of the turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So you pretty much can bet this being bet on this being an overrun. They're going to get +3 in trample if he's the only thing that you control at the 3 spot.
Yeah.
But with that Colossus out,
adding that 4.
Oh god, like if the constellation goes off, it's going to be massive. It's probably going to be an OTK for sure.
Yeah.
There is some enchantress elements in here where we're just playing creatures. So I have like the satyr enchanter, the 1, a green and a white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. You really could push that button even harder and you'd be drawing insane amounts of cards.
Well, yeah, I think if you loaded that whole package into the deck, like I said, for each of those you're probably planning on drawing at least 2. One for when you drop, if you have just 1 enchantress out there, and then 1 for the single attack that you are planning to have, possibly more.
Yeah. So to kind of summarize what I've been saying about this deck, we're looking to resolve constellation, or not, bestow enchantment creatures. If you want to pile them on one guy, if it's looking like it will work, fine. But
sure,
why? You're only going to draw 1 card.
Yeah. Versus
draw 3. I don't see that happening unless you're trying to get some kind of board wipe insurance, which I totally understand that. The other thing that you're looking to do is suddenly flex up their power, because they're pretty unobtrusive.
They're usually small.
If it's a group of people that are, I don't know, very itchy about card draw, as they should be, they probably won't allow this to continue very long before you're looking like you're going to be hit with some targeted removal.
Yeah.
If they look at your creatures and just laugh at how ridiculous they are, maybe that'll work out for you in the end, because you're going to drop something like Overwhelming Stampede, which is 3, a green and a green, a sorcery. Until the end of the turn, creatures you control gain X, or gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. That with that Nylea's Colossus is just is just nut house.
Oh yeah. It's awesome.
And then the other piece to this is just kind of protecting your board state. So since we're using blue, I'm looking to keep my board advantage as long as I can. So we're talking like negate, 1 into blue, counter target non-creature spell.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just can't have the board wipe happen. Heroic intervention. So 1 into green, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this kind of idea of I'm really interested in not letting it go. So
to me, that card, like what that's saying is it's protected, not only like it's preserving an extra round of card draw for you off of these creatures, right?
Yeah.
Go in, attack. If it's an unfavorable situation, like you can cast that heroic intervention, or if people are board wiping, obviously you protect it, but it's preserving an extra round of card draw.
But you're going to draw into the flex up.
Yeah.
The other thing that my flex up options are the Pathbreaker Ibex, that Nylea's Colossus, Overwhelming Stampede, and then it's something in conjunction with Ancestral Mask. So it's 2 and a green. Whenever we're an enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. So since all of these creatures are qualifying for enchantments, it'll be pretty big. And that spread across with Overwhelming Stampede, like, yeah, just imagine that. Right?
Ancestral Mask is not something, to me, like if you're new to Enchantress strategies, let me just put this out there. That is not a card you play once you've got it in hand. You play it when you've established a board state and you can kill somebody, because you will kill somebody with Ancestral Mask.
Yeah, you might be able to do commander damage with Kestia. I'm thinking more along the lines of it's just a good target for the Pathbreaker Ibex, or a good target for Overwhelming Stampede, or a good target for the Colossus. Another pump spell for this kind of like size scaling would be actually it's a new one. It's the Octopus Umbra, 3, a blue and a blue.
Oh yeah.
They get a base power of 8 and a base power and toughness of 8/8. So they kind of just like get set to that. And again, I'm keeping the mana curve low. This will be an improvement.
Yeah.
And then whenever this creature attacks, you may tap target creature with power 8 or less, and it's actually totem armor. So cool.
Yeah, it's gonna protect stuff.
I mean, put it on Kestia. Now she's an 8/8. We're on the clock. I'm trying to think of anything else that sticks out as far as what this deck is looking to do. But I hope I'm painting a good picture here of like what we're going for with this thing.
If I were to guess what your board looks like at the end of a game playing a Kestia list like this,
it's probably loaded in sideways.
Yeah.
That's probably it. It's probably got fairly wide distance and sideways.
And I would also guess that there's a lot of cards in your graveyard. Like, you've gone through more of your deck than other players. Like, I'm convinced that Kestia will draw you just a shit ton of cards if you're focusing on going wide.
Yeah, I'm seeing that happen over the course of the game. You know, you're going to probably try to exploit weak spots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of just envisioning that, like, that's how it's going to be, and then you're drawing into these huge pumps, and then I don't know, like, unless they kind of see the writing on the wall, like, about the card draw, like, oh, he's going to draw into something crazy.
Yeah, anytime somebody's drawing as many cards as something like this does, like I don't know, maybe I'm rehashing this over and over. And I think the reason I'm doing this is because I've seen some conversations on Reddit where people are talking about these 3 enchantresses with Estrid, Tuvasa, and Kestia, and everybody's kind of just automatically placing Kestia below the other 2.
The suboptimal enchantress pick.
Yeah, I think it's not a question of who's better. It's a matter of it's a question of what do you want to do.
Yeah,
because Kestia, if you do this go wide strategy, like, the math adds up. If you've got an Argothian enchantress out, and you cast over the course of the next couple turns, cast 4 enchantment creatures.
Yeah, I get it.
You've drawn 4 cards off of the Argothian enchantress, and then if each of those creatures manage to get just 1 extra attack in, you've drawn 8 cards for playing these spells, right?
That's a lot.
That's 8 cards.
Right.
That's a lot of card draw.
And I'm kind of excited about running stuff faster than another enchantress deck would be looking into. Like, I'm not really looking to put something like Pier's Whim in this list. I'm looking more like Nature's Claim.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like 1 green to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Like, you're not really trying to manage the board, you're really just trying to punch it in.
Yeah.
And the mana, like the mana you're holding up is to stop any board wipes that people are going to be like, okay, he's drawing a lot of cards.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same thing about to mention Edric, Spymaster of Trest again, you're not giving anyone an advantage, your card advantage. It's only you drawing these cards.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm looking in that kind of place. I did kind of add some budget stuff in here to try to keep the mana off, but things like Worldly Tutor would be really good for this list. Why not Enlightened Tutor? It's like, well, yeah, the targets I want to try to grab, that Pathbreaker Ibex or the Crater Hoof Behemoth, if you've got one laying around.
Sure.
They're not tutored by that.
Yeah, they can't be tutored by that one.
So if you're really, really looking to push the aggro button like really far in,
a Tooth and Nail would be a better target than an Enlightened Tutor in this case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you're looking for stuff like that. If you're really trying to push the aggro button even further, the mana cost has got to come down, probably even lower than when I've left it.
Okay.
So you don't really have space for heavy removal. You don't have space for probably even Cultivate and Kodama's Reach. You probably need something that are just like mana dorks.
Yeah, because you want to develop your creatures instead of
like
your
Birds of
mana
Paradise. Yeah, you just want out. You want out and in sooner.
Yeah.
I kind of put it up on the higher mid range thing. Let me see if there's anything else I probably need to talk about. Aura Shards is really good in this. Because it just gets the mileage out of how often you're resolving these creatures.
Yeah.
They're fairly low in CMC. It's 1, a white, and a green. Green and a white. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment.
That's gonna fuck shit up.
Yeah. There's another card that's pretty neat for this. It's called Reconnaissance.
Okay.
So it's white. It's for an enchantment. 1 white. That's it. You can pay 0, remove target attacking creature you control from combat, and untap it. So she says they just need to attack.
Right.
Eventually, it might get into the space where you're not actually able to safely attack anybody.
Yeah.
So this is a way to get into the combat step and just pull them back. Yeah, and it says that creature neither deals nor receives combat damage this turn.
I like that.
It's a $14 card.
It's not a $35 Enchanted Evening.
Yeah, well, Commander's doing the reconnaissance thing. I am not sure about it actually having to deal combat damage. I think you can activate it after combat damage is dealt.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That would be interesting, though.
Zendikar Resurgent would also be really good because these are creatures. So it's 5, a green, and a green. Whenever, yeah, this card's only going to slowly increase.
Get your hands on it.
It's only good. It's been printed twice, mercifully, but it's only going to go up. 5 a green and a green. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of that type the land can produce. And then whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. So this is something that you wouldn't see normally in Enchantress deck. Bident of Thassa.
Ooh.
Yeah, so 2 a blue and a blue. Whenever an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. And then you can also, I guess if you want, pay the 1 in the blue and tap creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able. So
I've used that.
Yeah, it'll get you some cards, especially when you're already set up. 3 go. You know,
well, but I mean like the activated ability I've used that before.
Oh, the forcing attack thing?
Bident of Thassa and like the coastal piracy thing going on there is good, but that activated ability is also useful.
Yeah, the reason why coastal piracy is favored over Bident of Thassa is because it's only an enchant, not an artifact and an enchantment.
Yeah, so it's
exempt
from artifact removal.
Red. Yeah, but honestly, in my experience, red isn't super into targeted removal. It's more just like Vandal Blast.
Yeah.
Or fucking nothing, you know, in my experience.
Yeah.
Which is not, I mean, it's not how it should be. You know, Shattering Spree is actually pretty awesome.
Sure.
Bow of Nylea, because I just have a thing for Death Touch lately. So it's 1 a green and a green. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. These guys are pretty small.
That's going to deter a lot.
They're
of
not
blocks.
that big at the start. So exactly. I'm really trying to like once people start getting into their mid range and resolving things that like your little stupid boon satyr can't deal with anymore. It's just I look at this like a duplicate of Reconnaissance. People will not block when you're because again you're just digging into your fucking deck.
Exactly.
It does have an activated like the Bident. It's got some 1 a green and tap. Choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or Bow of Nylea deals 2 damage to target creature that has flying, or you gain 3 life, or you put the top 4 cards of your or put up to 4 cards from your graveyard into the bottom of your library in any order. So it has some kind of a little bit of a toolboxy thing.
Okay.
And then I think that's really it. Helm of the Gods is another pump.
Oh yeah, that would
spell.
be.
It's 1 to says equip creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control. It has equip 1.
Sure.
You could do the ethereal armor.
Yeah, that would also do the trick.
You could do the ethereal armor, but I feel like this one's something that can be moved around.
Yeah,
right. Let's say like
being
the
able
evasions.
to equip.
Well, I just want to be able to like make something a little bit more threatening, and let's say I drop something that has evasion, like that flitter step or a flyer. Well, okay, let's upgrade that now.
Yeah, then you're
rather than I'm
hit
kind
with
of
that.
Because again, I'm not looking to do the Bogles thing, so I'm looking to kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's one other thing that you could do with this with Kestia that I think is probably a better idea to do.
Okay.
So blue has some enchantments that allow you to gain control of target creature. It turns out.
Ooh.
I don't know if I found them all, but if I'm going to just start from, I think I have like 10. Maybe I think there's like 13 that exist. So imagine taking control of someone's commander and then beating them in the face with it while you're drawing cards.
And draw a card for it.
Right. I'm not usually really into plays like that because that's kind of like some hoops to jump through.
Sure.
But really think about what's going on here. You're getting card advantage in 2 ways against their 1 way. So I spend 1 card to gain control of your commander, something that lately, like if you're just looking at just how decks are showing up, they're very, very the commander decks are becoming more and more commander dependent.
Oh
because
yeah,
of the tuck rule not being a thing, right? So you gaining control, me gaining control of your commander and just keeping it is problematic.
Yes.
Bigger commanders are even better because now they're usually harder to deal with.
They're going to get through.
Exactly. So and then what do? You either have to waste removal on it, and not waste it. You need to do it.
Yeah, you need to
get your card rezoned. Like
to recast it.
Yeah, the advantage in equity in this interaction, I think, is worth pursuing.
Oh yeah.
So if you wanted to do another way of doing Kestia, which is a little bit cuter and cleverer, Let me just kind of throw out some of these cards. So there's Biting Tether. It's 4 and a blue. Enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a -1/1 counter on enchanted creature. I don't give a shit. I'm taking somebody else's stuff and I'm drawing cards until, you know, I have used it up and I spit it out of the bottom of the porn industry and give it to you. You know, that's what I'm looking to do.
No more fucks.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like I'm iceberg slimming this thing to the nth degree. Control magic. So it's 2, a blue and a blue, enchant creature. You control enchanted creature. Domestication, 2, a blue and a blue. You control enchanted creature. At the beginning of your end step, if the enchanted creature has power of 4 or greater, sacrifice domestication. That's like no commanders. Like,
right.
Not like no, but
it's a
there is a big subset of commanders, some of the scariest ones out there, that don't have a power of 4.
Yeah.
They might have a toughness of 4, but they don't have a power of 4. Like,
sure.
Yeah. Dominating Licid. It's a 1 in the blue. This one's kind of wordy, but you can pay 1 in the blue again to tap it. Dominating Licid loses this ability and becomes a creature enchantment. So
weird.
It's a creature enchantment that reads, gain control of enchanted creature instead of any other type of permanent. Ugh, this is like old language. Move Dominating Listen onto that target creature, and then you may pay blue to end the effect. So the short stack of that is you pay 3, tap it, it turns into an enchant creature or an aura, grabs it, and then at any time you can just pay blue and let them go, and then he just turns back into a creature again. So it is a little bit repeatable.
It probably makes it so that it's also a little more immune to removal. Somebody uses their enchant removal on it,
or you've got your mileage out of it and you're ready to let it go, or somebody's resolved something a little bit more tasty.
Gonna go dump this thing in the dumpster.
Dream Leash, 3, a blue and a blue. You enchant permanent, so you could actually gain control of permanents with this one. You can't choose an untapped permanent as Dream Leash's target as you cast Dream Leash. So you basically have to choose a tapped permanent. You control enchanted permanent. See what I mean?
Yeah.
In Bolus's Clutches is the new one that turns him into a legendary. Lay Claim, which actually has cycling on it. Mind Control. So there's enough in here to make this kind of a backbone of the deck.
Oh yeah, you could totally do this.
So what would you take out if you did that? I still think you want to hang on to your constellation creatures. I'm not 100% sure what to take out.
Okay.
If I had to pick between 2 things, maybe just remove the enchantresses that aren't just there to get you cards when you go sideways.
Oh yeah,
because you know, like, you're being greedy. You know, you're being greedy with both. I'm okay with that, but you're already stealing their commander, and they are going to be doing everything they can to get that back.
Yeah, they'll want it back for sure.
And if they manage to do it, great. But because the inequity of advantage here is going to be manifest, I think. You know, I'm gonna take the Gitrog monster from you. Yeah. What would your deck do when you don't have access to the Gitrog monster? He's on the wrong side of the board.
I would just be sitting rotting in the Gitrog monster's bog.
Yeah, and I'm sacking lands, drawing cards off those lands, but I'm attacking with the 6/6 until you do whatever you can to break it and get it back.
Yeah.
Or what would you do if, I don't know, somebody made it past their counter wall and got a hold of your Brago and then just never attacked with it because they don't want to reset it?
Right.
You know. Well, I think you can choose any number.
So you wouldn't
you don't need the
reset
bounces.
him.
Like, how infuriating is that?
Oh yeah, that would be brutal.
Yeah, you'll do what you have to. I'm gonna hit him with Path to Exile, or I'm gonna try to use the Croson Grip or whatever. So I honestly think that's a strong way to go about.
I like that.
Kestia.
I really like that.
It's not elegant, not as elegant as her buckwheat hair, not even remotely. But I do think it is a good way to go through it. So I'll kind of post. I think I'm going to post just the regular aggro thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if I had to take a jab at what to take out, you probably will have to kind of back off the Nihilea thing. Like, because these are actually kind of higher ended on the mana curve, these gain control effects, you know? So
yeah, they're usually like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think 4 is kind of like
6.
I think 4 is like the basement. So we're kind of around where we want to cast her.
Yeah.
And then gain control of these things. And then they because you gain control of them, you can't actually attack with them that turn.
Yeah, you know? So you gotta have a round
because they changed controllers. Mm-hmm. So once you gain control of it, you have to kind of wait even further.
Sure.
So maybe probably get rid of these bigger, swingier things, and then go for counter magic. Counter magic is probably a good idea.
If you're gonna do that, you're gonna need it.
Yeah, unless you're really just like, yeah, whatever, you can have your stupid ass commander back.
I just made you spend out your removal.
Yeah, and then things like open the vaults to just bring all these enchantments back into play. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, mine's not nearly as doesn't have that many moving parts, and I can't tell if that's good or bad. You know, I can't tell if that's good or bad.
Well, when I think there's as much card draw at stake as Kestia provides the possibility of, it's again just a preference thing. Like if you, I was kind of looking at it the other day. I have probably 3 decks, I think, that it's not uncommon for me to be sitting there in a game with 15, 20 cards in hand. And I think Kestia is the type of commander, if you're doing this go wide strategy, that could put you in a position like that.
Yeah.
Where you're sitting there with a lot of cards in hand. And
if that proves to be true, then yeah, you want something like, what is it, Imperial Plate, Imperial Armor.
Yeah.
If you really are drawing up that many cards. Things that benefit from being drawn that are not Psychosis Crawler. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just, that's the thing about aggro. You need to negotiate with the other aggro player that you're not going to
let's
duke this out in the end game. Yeah, which might work out in your favor because of the huge swinginess of the first configuration.
And plus you have blue in your favor as well.
True. So that good old Cyclonic Rift. So definitely more of leveraging your board state kind of setup with this one.
You know what's funny is neither of us mentioned Estrid's Invocation.
Oh, it's like a super copy that can change.
So it's relatively cheap. It's 2 and a blue. You can have Estrid's Invocation enter the battlefield as a copy of any enchantment you control, except it gains at the beginning of your upkeep. You may exile this enchantment. If you do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you can kind of just reset
flicker it, yeah.
Let it be whatever's giving you a nice advantage.
Yeah.
I put it in my list. I didn't mention it because it's not, you know, I mean, it isn't anything by itself, but it is whatever else you have in your deck that you want more of. Enchants, dude.
Again, I really jumped the gun with these themes. We should have just waited.
We probably should have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we kind of wanted to just like get the themes thing series sort of done and wrapped up. Like we've talked about.
It'll never be done, but close enough. Close enough for my ass.
Yeah.
So Eureka. Scheduling has been why we haven't been able to make that happen.
Yeah, we've mentioned wanting to talk about Eureka.
Yeah, I just don't want to be the guy to do it. Like I think we have a good list in our orbit. It's budget. That was our other thing, is that we tried to go for budget.
I mean, let's be honest, Andy. The real thing is we just wanted to have an Asian here to do it. Okay. We're not racist, I promise. He just so happens to be.
It's his thing. He's into he calls the deck his 13-year-old fantasy. I'm just like, what about it? And he's like, you know, it's just like ninjas, man. You know, it's my 13-year-old fantasy. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought you were just into like rats or something as a kid. Because come on, man, they're the cooler side of the ninja tribe is the freaking rats.
It's true.
They're so dope. So yeah, we want to bring that one. We're probably gonna have to do 2 more lists. I think we're just gonna leave that one on the side.
Okay.
And do the Esper stuff from the last.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then as far as like the Jund stuff goes, like, I don't know, if you really
go talk to somebody else.
If you really want, we can come up with something, but it's just, don't make us. Don't ask.
Yeah, if somebody is desperate to hear us talk about.
Yeah, like, what are we really gonna say about Board Windgrace? Like, you know, just get the lands matter stuff into get the stuff they didn't give you. Sorry, and get it into the deck and play it.
Yeah, my understanding is from what people have said about him playing with him is that he is, like, as described or as predicted, he is a workhorse.
I think he's a workhorse commander.
He does do some really solid things for you. It's just, I don't know. He's not that interesting.
No.
Kind of like I feel at parties. Here we are, I'm talking about parties again.
Yeah, what's up with you in the party trauma.
Like I always just feel like I'm that guy like standing around.
You have had some party trauma. Something's
to...
happened at a party and it like caused you to trauma.
It's true, but what I'm getting at, you know that guy that's kind of like standing on the periphery that looks really stiff and awkward.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about Lord Windgrace. He's like stiff and awkward. It's not that he's useless.
Somebody invited him.
Someone invited him.
Sure. Yeah.
He doesn't have any good stories to tell you. He's not sitting there with a guitar about to say, okay, this one's called Wonderwall.
Oh God.
Like, I mean, he's just that guy standing in the corner like, I wish I could.
When I was a kid, it was the Green Day song, that fucking Time of Your Life thing. That was the one that like kids would bust out and start guitaring and singing to.
Okay, this one's called Time of Your Life.
Oh God. Yeah, they're by a band called Green Day. I don't know if you've heard of them, because this is like in their weird like uncanny valley between. I'm not a Green Day fan, but I think there was like a moment where they were big,
but they were so big,
and they like disappeared, and then they were fucking huge when I was in high school.
Right.
You know, because the Bush administration, like, just the perfect fucking time for that. Yeah.
Because the Bush administration was the time of your life. Is that?
That's the way things are lately.
All right, so yeah, that's what we got coming.
Shit. Oh God.